Good evening. My name is Martha Krensalakwa. On Saturday, our president, John Dramani Mahama, went for a walk. And after the walk, he decided to address the crowd who joined him on this keep fitting exercise. He spoke about many things, but key amongst them was how we are not keeping our environment clean and we are making everywhere dirty. Littering with what? Plastics. And the president was so concerned, he said if you are not careful, he is going to ensure that plastics are banned from this country. Who is producing this? Who is littering? And who is supposed to take responsibility for all that? That's what we're talking about on PM Express today. And I have two gentlemen in the studio who are going to help me talk about that, and then we find a solution and perhaps keep our environment cleaner. I have in the studio with me Kranche Adama Tete, who is a programs director with the Plastic Waste Management Ghana, and he is just by my left. And then at my extreme left, I have Ben Arthur, who is Executive Secretary of CONIWAS. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Did you hear the president's comment? What is your initial reaction, Kranche?
I think we need to take a critical look at what the president really said and the reference he made to Rwanda. My initial reaction is that we have different types of plastics. We have the flexible plastics and then the rigid plastics. The president didn't mention specifically which of the plastics he's referring to. But if we look at the Rwanda situation, they banned the plastics in 2008. And their focus was on non-biodegradable plastics. And then they also banned the carrier bags. But they banned carrier bags that you could not use twice. Maybe carrier bags that you use once and dispose.
Like the black polythene bag we have all over.
So that is what they went for. So I am a little surprised the reaction.
You think it was an open statement?
It was a very open statement. And we, as people who work with the plastics, want to look at it more holistically and then see the way forward on the matter.
So we'll look at it more holistically. Yes. Ben, your initial comments about that?
My initial comment is that for the society or association I belong to, I think for about 8 years ago, we did our own work and we came to a realization that, in fact, we have to do something about the plastic. In fact, at that time, we called for a ban on plastic bags in Ghana. That was about 8 years ago. Because in that time, we didn't have that mechanism of even recycling that very much. But, so we came out with a statement that we have to ban plastic bags.
Okay.
Plastics,
so, okay, so you don't care which one? Biodegradable, solid, all the kinds that Kranche is mentioning. You didn't care about that. You thought of a general ban?
Because when you begin to go into that dynamics, then everybody will want to make a case for his or her product. Then you have to, so which one do I have to go for? Which one do I leave out? Because we also don't take care. Issue of discrimination may come in, and that is where people may decide
because obviously you're going to leave the judgment of what should be banned and what not should be banned to a group of people.
Yes.
And then they can be influenced.
At the end of the day, people might not be pleased. Why banning A and not banning B? And then you have all those dynamics playing out, and the people may take legal action and all those things. So that is where we will be coming from.
So for you, 8 years ago, it was a general ban?
Yes, and to the extent that, as he said, you know, when you say if they are not efficient, you will ban. That word, they're efficient, I mean, what does that connote? How are you going to judge the efficiency? I mean, so, yeah, he made a statement there. Is it because, I mean, it just came out
at the spec of the moment, or he had thought about
something
it?
Something that they've thought about it, they're discussing it. So if you don't have that background, then make difficult for some of this discussion, because that word they use, efficient there, how is he going to judge the efficiency? Maybe
he has a policy in place. But Kranche, do you think that we didn't think about the use of plastics in general? I'm not going to go into the kinds. But do you think we didn't think about its usage and it has taken us by storm? And now we can't manage it.
No, no. I completely want to say that if we say we want to say ban plastics, just for ban plastics, I think it is too broad, because at the end of the day, what is the reason for which we will say ban plastics or ban this kind of plastic or ban that kind of plastics?
It's because a nuisance.
It's because of the management. You would say a nuisance, but I would say that plastic waste actually is a resource.
But we are not getting that from the plastics we are generating.
That is not the situation at all.
Really?
Yes. In 2007, he was mentioning about 2008. In 2007, there was also another cry that plastics should be banned. The stakeholders within the plastic industry said, no, this thing could be a resource like how the metal scraps and things are a resource. So we started a program of placing value on the sachet water waste, which is one of the major plastics that we refer to. And as we speak today, that has created over 5,000 jobs for Ghanaians. If you go to our streets today, you will see old ladies, young people picking these plastics. Not only picking, but you see that they have tied these plastics into bags and sending them to the recycling companies to be recycled. That is just one initiative that was started just in 2007. This is where we are. Come to the carrier bags. We have engaged with government on so many occasions that you say you can say ban plastics, but you cannot just say ban for banning's sake. You need to know whether the banning is going to help us or not. And we say that instead of saying ban plastics or ban carrier bags, why don't you look at the issue of biodegradable plastics? The president made specific reference to Rwanda. But the Rwanda case even didn't ban plastics for banning's sake. They banned non-biodegradable plastics. And what is biodegradable plastic and what is non-biodegradable plastic? Biodegradable plastic is just a plastic that can degrade over time. And how do you make it degrade? You only put in an additive into the manufacturing process, and it makes it biodegradable.
Are we doing that in Ghana?
No, we are not doing that.
Why?
And we have engaged with government. You know, some of the companies like ShopRite and Co. are issuing out biodegradable plastics. That is just a private initiative. And Kuala and Co. are doing that. That is a private initiative. And even you'll be surprised. Countries like Burkina Faso and Mali, they are not here. But you know what they have done? No. They have passed laws for biodegradable plastics to be used in their country. So even though they come here to buy the plastics, they ensure that the plastics they buy from here, which is being produced by the manufacturers, are biodegradable. So we have just said to government, just make a law to ensure that the plastics that we produce here are biodegradable.
Must you wait for a law before you do
No, you see,
that?
like I said, some of the companies are doing that. But you need a holistic issue. You need a national policy. You need a policy direction on that. And you see, the private sector cannot do a policy of that nature. So I am not talking about whether we should ban or not, but we are looking at whether the banning is the only way to go, or the banning is the only sustainable way to go, or whether the banning is going to affect the way we live. And believe you me, like the recycling of sachet water, for example, as we talk today, and the sachet water can even also be made into biodegradable plastics. But the issue is that we just need the policy direction. And you see, when you have a problem like this, you need a particular focus to deal with it. And we, in 2007, 2008, 2009, was encouraging government set up a system, a national framework to manage the plastics. And we say that piecemeal contribution from the private sector will not solve the problem, because the president said that if the private sector does not contribute. So we said government impose a tax on all imports of plastics. And that was done in 2011.
The polluter pays.
As we speak today, that money has accumulated over 65 million Ghana cedis. And so, and as part of the law, the Act 863 said that not less than 50% of that money should be put into a plastic waste recycling fund. So if you have a fund of this nature and you have a competent board to manage the fund, then you can put in place sustainable systems to manage the waste. For example, just last 2 weeks, there was a gentleman in KNUST who had manufactured a machine that can turn the plastic waste into oil, the pyrolysis system. Okay. So how would such a young man be able to expand, to be able to get job? He will create job for himself, create job for other people.
So what are you saying? There is no political will from government to get this done?
See, I will not call it political will. I cannot call it anything, but the fact is that we have not had that national direction, that national focus to move this thing forward. Ben, because I see plastic waste
don't
as
we
a
have
resource.
A national direction? And must it take a national direction to make this work?
Yes, some of these things, even if you want to go to for the ban, that is the extreme, you still need that direction, a policy direction. You issue a policy direction that this is the way we are going. From this date going, we are giving the manufacturers, those handle it, 3 years grace. That is a kind of policy direction that is going. So if the country is deciding that they want to look at alternatives and that probably the biodegradable way we want to go, there should be a policy direction, a clear statement. When we gave a policy direction to put a tax on it and create that fund, we did it in 2011, they started doing it. That is a clear policy direction. And that is it. You see, he doesn't want to use the political will. And that is where we have most of our challenges. It's not an issue of standing somewhere and making the statement, this is what, if you don't take care of this. If we think it's not good, let's say it's not good. But that will to make the statement that this is the situation, this is what, it doesn't come. And if it doesn't come, you put people in a certain position. That is why. So
people like you who are pushing for it are hanging in the middle.
And they are also hanging in the middle because they don't even know where they have to pass. They have some alternatives he's saying is good, but they don't even know how to manage these alternatives. So everybody is everywhere and talking about the issue. So everybody is talking and there is no frame of reference for all these talking and where it will end. That is what it's going to be. So it will end like we are talking like this. The next time a statement is made, you will call people together and this is going on.
And we'll keep talking talking and talking. But the impact on the environment is dire.
Yes.
Spell it out for me. How bad is it?
Well, if we don't have the non-biodegradable ones, it means it's going to take a longer time for the thing to decompose. Okay. It's going to be in our soils. I mean, those of who are doing the farming, you till the land and you have a lot of the polythene mixed with the soil. If you are planting and don't take care, the seedlings fall onto the, it means it's not going to germinate. We have situations where animals are even chewing some of these. And one of the factors that we have attributed the flooding to is the choking. And you have about 20–30% of your solid waste being polythene. Then that will have all these challenges. It collects water, mosquito breeds. It generally is a nuisance. Okay. And one of the things we also do is when we are talking about some of these things, we only make a case for Accra. Ghana is not Accra. Yeah. Go to the other districts where we have the bigger markets like Techima. I mean, those places are bigger market days. And when the market has come and the market is finished and people have left.
What do they leave behind? They leave so much trash.
And that is also
we'll take a break here. Ben, we'll take a break here. Our first break, I can see Ben is getting into the conversation so much. But we'll come back and I hope he keeps the steam and we'll talk more about this minute's plastic. You're still watching PM Express with me, Martha Krensolakwa, and I have Kranchi Adamatete and then Ben Arthur in the studio, and we are talking about the menace, plastic waste, and how to manage it. Now, we've been talking about how to manage this. You mentioned few examples, but on a large scale, what are we doing with our plastic waste now?
Yes, like I mentioned earlier on, since 2007, we brought in we placed value on the sachet water waste. And as we speak now, it has created jobs for over 5,000 people. That is a large scale. That is a whole industry. And all that we need is for the recycling capacities to be expanded It's for the collectors who are collecting these plastics to be empowered in terms of provision of soft loans. We are not even saying that government should give them grants, but they should be giving soft loans from the fund which had not been set up yet. That fund has collected 65 million Ghana cedis. So if you want to deal with the plastic waste issue, we have started with the framework already. So you just look at people bringing competent or very good proposals, and then you fund these proposals to solve the problem. Because in solving the problem, you'll be creating more jobs for us as Ghanaians.
But have you tried finding out what the money, the 65 million Ghana cedis, is being used for?
We have met with the Ministry of Local Government. We have met with the Ministry of Finance, and we have presented even a draft proposal bill for the establishment of the fund. We have financed that and we have presented to the ministry. All that the ministry had to do is to carry it to the cabinet, and then it goes to parliament, and then the fund is in place. Then you do. But for whatever reason, that has not been done. And that is our frustration, because you see, the stakeholders in the plastic industry, they are going about their businesses, but they are also concerned about the environment. In fact, all of us have to be concerned about the environment, because at the end of the day, your children are also Ghanaians. Your children, yes, you go to the beach, you are swimming, and the plastic is around your head. It's a concern to all of us. You know, so everybody is committed. But when you have done so much from the private sector, and you just need a little push from the public sector, and it is not coming, it gets a little frustrating. And so we are saying that if the president says that if the private sector doesn't do enough, he is going to ban. All that I can say is that the private sector is already doing enough. Government should just step up its game a little, and then we will be free.
But Ben, what is the use in paying tax to manage this and not seeing results?
That is some of the things, some of us will find surprising. And one of the reasons for setting up, taking that tax, was to use a component to clean environment, to employ people to clean environment, provide litter bins, all the places. But where do we see the bins? No. Have we seen people who have been employed to clean around? Because it's like on the polluter pay principle thing. Yeah. But it's collected at the source before the materials even get in. So it's safer to collect that tax.
And
easier to collect. But if we have collected the money and the purpose for which is being collected is no use, then we can't turn around and making this statement that you're going to ban. So all those money that you have collected, have you put the money into use that doesn't work? Now you find it easier to make those statements.
Could it be that they didn't think about it, the policymakers didn't think about the tax and what it can or cannot do, and now they are saying that, okay, that alone can't manage, because I don't know the cost
the point is
managing
that,
this.
The point is that we've not even made that attempt of deploying the resources that we have collected. You see, if we have deployed the resources and you say it's not working, in terms of the supply is coming more than the way we should manage, then you have a case to say all these things. You see, you have, when we made those proposals for it to be banned, were ignored. So it has carried on, and hoping that you put some mechanisms in place to deal with, which you introduce the tax element, so that you can collect some money that those who are polluting, if you are not ready to clean, you will use that resources to clean. So you have the money sitting there, and up to now, we don't know how much of that money you are using. The cleaning is not even happening.
It's not. I've not seen it.
It's not even happening. You see, the other side is also that he's talking of the sachet producers. It is those elements which is being collected. What about the other side, the black ones and all those things? What about that? And that is where I think the management, the fund should be provided to deal with some of these things.
Okay.
But it's not happening. Another aspect is also education, awareness creation. How household level we can create space for all these things.
Waste.
And if the money, you have 65 million sitting down doing, And every
now
day
you're even
you
wondering
are
if the money is sitting there.
That one. And that is why I think probably they are pushing for a fund. So if it's a fund, Parliament has, or there's a fund set up somewhere and the money is put in that fund.
It's a proper structure.
To manage that fund and ensure that it is sent to where it has to for the management of the environment, fine. But now you don't even know if it's still there, might be going to the consolidated fund. And when it enters there, you and I know whether it was coming back or so. That is an angle probably we also have to look at. I don't know the extent to which the president is aware of some of these. The briefing is getting that in fact we collecting this money is sitting down there.
Could the president be misinformed? I'm just wondering to myself.
I didn't say misinformed. I don't know whether
he's getting briefing, but as to whether he's getting the briefing as he ought to and knows what is actually happening is another thing.
Yeah,
you know?
Basically, like Ben is saying, you see, the reason why we advocated for the fund is the sustainability of the financing. We have done education campaigns. We run education campaigns on TV. But you see, it is short-lived because it is so expensive to do. So you cannot expect one company to be doing any meaningful education for a very long time. They might do one project, stop at one point for a year, continue another time. So when you have a fund, then the fund can actually say that we have placed these kinds of adverts on TV, we have placed these kinds of programs on radio, so it will be going on forever until it gets to the root. Now you cannot talk about recycling or plastic waste management if you don't have a very good segregation system. Waste segregation at source. Then they will say the households are given 1 liter bin, and then they lump all the waste together. We carry, we carry it to the landfill sites, and then we say we don't have enough landfill sites. Then there is a big problem. Not in my backyard. Then it's a whole big issue. Why can't we just give the households 2 or 3 liter bins? If you have a fund for plastic waste management, you can easily do that. So the households, now they are paying maybe 20 Ghana cedis a month for their waste. When they are able to segregate, and then they sell their plastic waste to the recycling company, they can even reduce the cost that they pay to the waste collectors. So you see, the whole thing is so interesting that we just need to take a step at doing it. And then we'll see the benefits. It is happening in other places. I mean, in some countries, they have been able to recycle about 70% of their plastics. I'm not saying we should jump there, but we can start from somewhere. Because when you, even in the small private sector, go to some of these slums, and you see individuals, young individuals, having small machines, crushing these plastics, and exporting, selling out. So why can't we just put a push into this and let it grow bigger? Because the PET bottles, as we speak today, after the rains, if you go to the beach, you see the bottles there, it's serious. But you see, those bottles are being recycled in China, and it's being used to produce fabrics. You see, that is why I say that the plastic waste that we complain too much about, it's not a waste, it's a resource. So if people can collect this, people are doing it now. They have small machines, they can crush maybe 1 ton a day, they crush, they get huge volumes, they get a 20-footer container, they export to China, they sell, they make some income. So why don't we? Because it is not like the sachet water we are producing or the bottled water we are producing is bad in itself. Because before sachet water came, we will remember that we were drinking from cups. Then it came to Peyin where we blow air and tie. Before we got to sachet water. And look at these diseases like tuberculosis. You can check the records. These things have come down. We will move from sachet water to another thing because definitely we are growing as a country. We are developing. We are having more exposure. So things will change. But this is another resource that we have.
What happened to plastic bags?
Yeah, the carrier bags, like we were saying, make them...
the paper bags, rather. What happened to them?
Yes, you see, that is another issue altogether. Because the research has shown, and we've been talking about climate change, we are talking about carbon footprints, and let me tell you, the kind of environmental damage you do to the environment when you are producing paper And the one that you do, you see, so you just have to be very holistic. Let us get the system in place. Let's get the experts to talk about it. Let's get the experts to plan. Because when we put together the environmental and sanitation policy in 2011, some of these things were stated. Polluter pays principle, segregation of waste, all these things are in that document. But we have not taken any step.
It's gathering
you
dust
see,
somewhere.
But every time you attempt to solve a problem, you are creating another opportunity. That is the way I see it. Because when you say you are recycling plastics, you are creating another industry. So let us look at these things holistically as a country.
As you look at it holistically, what happened to the paper bag?
As he said, where does the paper bag come from? I mean, from trees and those things. So, and obviously it's also going to be imported. The difference is that the paper bag biodegrades. I mean, it will degrade. I mean, within a short time, we'll have all those things. So, it's also, I mean, he's talking of industries. You bring it, also, they also will create industry. As you say, you destroy one industry and you create another industry. And as he said, everything is a policy issue. If the direction that we want to go, make the incentive, where discuss with those who make the incentives available, and let's go there. If that is what we think, you see. But like we want to go, we don't want to go. We have the policy, we are not implementing the policy, and everything. So that is why all of us are doing what we think is right, because we don't have a clear-cut direction for us to go. We used to have the paper bag. What called for the change? What happened that this paper bag changed? We have to examine those factors. Whether it was becoming expensive, it was becoming unfashionable, and that we have to abandon it and bring polythenes were becoming cheaper and all those things. And as he also said, when we mention the polythenes, we forget about the plastic bottles. We think the polythenes are only the bags, the sachet. We forget about the plastic bottles that we use. Because, and that is where we also have to be cautious, especially when it comes to the bar. Are you banning like the ones we have water inside and sell? Because they are all, so that's where your policy direction has to make it clear exactly what you want to do and how you want to do it. Coming to the issue of the collection and segregation, you see, it's the way we are doing it, because we are giving every house one
big litter bin.
We shouldn't go that hard way and big bang thing. What about those litter bins? Some of them have polythenes. They use the lining bin. Let's give houses 2 or 3 in different colors.
We started this colors thing, but it didn't last. It was by the roadside. So if you see the green, you know you have to put plastic in it. If you see the yellow,
let's concentrate more on the households, the houses. Let's concentrate more on the houses and less the education and the. You see, the other side is also the enforcement. If we say we want to go this direction, who is enforcing that direction and monitoring?
That is well segregated.
Yes, who is ensuring? So that, and it's a chain. Those who are coming to pick, their services, what does it entail? When they come, they just pick everything and put it in one track. But when we start at the household with, for example, 2 or 3 colored polythene big bag or sacks. In fact, Rwanda we were talking, started with those things. That was sacks for starting collecting this thing. It was later that they move up all those things. So, but our system, when they have collected all those things, the downstream activities, does it also have a segregation where they are dumping? Are they segregating at all those elements? But I believe if we can do that from the household, it makes it easier for those collecting to do the segregation. Somebody will come and even buy. Come to your door. Do you have, like those who are asking for the scrap?
Okay.
The scraps, they are banging, do you have a scrap to sell? So if we start, that's the way, if that's the way we want to go, is streamline these activities. Instead of giving those big, this thing, I hear it's 150 cedis per, that if we have a simple sacks or this big polythene lining bins, which are also biodegradable. I mean, if you buy 150, do you know the number that you get? Okay. And go that if you are putting this, put it here, put this one here. So when we come, a company may set up collecting the food items, the one which degrade easily. A company may come collecting the plastic bottles. Another company, the polythene bags.
So we don't have a system at all.
We don't have any
all.
system. So that is where the enforcement can, when they come collecting and you have mixed it, a fine or something, that's where the environmental health people also come in and mix a thing. But if we don't have all these things that is clearly defined, then everybody...
Do you think we must put some incentives? We must start with some incentives.
Where is the incentive? If we are selling,
you're getting some money.
If you go to local government now, there is a gentleman there. He has taken it as his task. Okay. He does the segregation, whatever. They put the things there, the stuff there, they are doing. Go to local government. They dump papers, everything.
And that's his job.
People come to buy. Companies come to buy. So if it has done somewhere at the ministry, in the ministry, we can do it at household. The issue is when we start doing and the necessary or the relevant laws which you back the implementation of those behavior doesn't work, then people start.
Do you think it's attitude now, Crunchy?
You say it's attitude now, but you need to always back it up with the law. You need to always back it up with the law. For example, all drivers will want to cut corners if you allow them to. But he knows that it's against the law to do that, and the policeman will be there to punish you for that. And so people stay in the line. You will hear people say that when foreigners come to this country and they are driving, they do things that they would usually not do in their countries. They litter in Ghana, and then they will not litter in their countries. Why? Because there is a punitive measure attached to it. Let us go back to the segregation of the waste in the households. In 2012, we piloted a program where we gave out these polythene bags to the households, 15,000 households. A year later, in Accra. A year later, a student from the Netherlands came down and wanted to do a research. He went around to the places where we did it, and he said about 90% of the households are still setting aside their plastics and either selling to the plastic waste collected or giving it to some old ladies who come about. So it means that the households, you see, like I said in the beginning, when they segregate the waste, it is going to even cut down on their cost of waste management, because at the end of the day...
give it to them every week. Now you're going to do it every 2 weeks.
Yes, so they will just sell it to the waste management contractor. Then their cost will come down. If they are paying 20 cedis, they pay 15 for segregating right. And everybody will do that because 5 cedis can take care of another cost in the house. So basically it can work. All we need to do is to take the step. You know, it should take the step, because when we did it, we didn't even back it with any law. And we didn't even give people the litter bins, the big ones. We just gave them the polythene bags, wrote the names of the plastic waste collectors and their phone numbers on the bags. So when your bag is full, you just call them and then they come and buy it from you. You know what happened? Some of the households made it as their business, and they ensured that the houses around, they say, when you drink your water in your house and you can't keep it, throw it into my house. Yes.
So they collect
and get money. And if you go to the households now, most of the households are setting aside the plastic waste and selling. Most of them, even though the law has not even backed it yet. So we are saying that Ministry of Local Government, the Ministry of Environment, they should just support this with the law and then just do a little bit of enforcement. With the incentives that the households will get, they themselves will segregate their waste and sell. Because even, let's come to the organics. If you segregate the organics and it is being turned into composting, that is also another industry altogether. So these are the areas that we need to look at and just give it a try. Like you were saying, the Ministry of Local Government, they have piloted that in their ministry. And it's working. Like I said, there's a gentleman there who is putting the bottles together.
We wait for the law that we are all pushing for. What do we do? Look on?
The law, we don't even need additional laws. The Public Health Act, Act 822, 822 or 821, has the part 5 like this, have issues with nuisance.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
And all those things are spelled out there. Most of the district assemblies have their bylaws. Some of the district assemblies have bylaws which can deal with this. Or they can enact new bylaws or review the existing bylaws to deal with this. So we have all those elements already there. It is enforcing it. And as he said, we are all human beings. We are social animals. If you leave us, yes, I mean, if you get the opportunity,
that are not comfortable.
We want to do things that we think will make just go over what the society expects. And that is where the law comes in, because the persuasion, the education is failing. And that is where you apply the laws. But if the education, the attitude is failing, and the law is sitting in the books, and we are not enforcing, then you also have a challenge. We also have a situation where there will see a lot of interference, even in places where people are enforcing the laws. Because households, people throw things out, and environmental officers are ready to prepare them, prosecute them. Then you also have interference. People are, because it's a mother's friend to this person, and they will call, and do you like your job? People are transferred when they want to stick to their position that I will certainly prosecute this person. The following day, the person is given a letter, transferred to another district. So if you have all these mechanics playing out, then definitely we are not going to succeed. And that is what is landing us in our present situation.
But how much money can we make from plastic waste? How much money? You talk about the 5,000 jobs.
No, if the taxes alone, the fund is 65 million. And the other side is that you are looking at, I met an old lady. She has been collecting the sachet. That's also the sad part, because everybody is concentrated on the sachet one.
I think you did so much education on that, so that has caught on.
Yes, a lot of people are doing it.
Yes.
And she was going to negotiate because she thinks things have gone up, and therefore the prices of the... So that tells you, because he says every month there is amount of money she gets. Okay. And he's sure if he's able to collect, the amount of money will come. So for that elderly woman, it's a regular monthly income. Insofar as she is healthy and can go out there and collect the quantity that will. So you might not see it as a big, but cumulatively when you pull it together, it will present a bigger amount. And that is saying, if that is the policy that we have agreed to go, let's go the full scale. If we can't, then let's even forget about it.
And drown in the plastics?
No, you see, like he's saying, this is just one example. There are people who have done this, and they have built businesses out of that. Because the old lady who collects, there is somebody else who also goes to the old lady to buy. Yes. And this is a middleman. Yes. He has his own truck, goes to the old ladies and those who are collecting in the households, and they sell to him. So basically, I think the Center for Scientific and Industrial Research made they did some studies, and they said government could make over, or the country could generate over 1.2 million Ghana cedis from recycling plastic
annually.
Waste. Yes, annually.
Wow.
So you see, that's why I say it's a whole industry that I feel so sad that we are not able to tap into, because it has created jobs. Like he said, this is a constant income that is coming for an old lady. During one of our visits, our field visits, we met an old lady. She said she used to sell provisions like sardines, soap, but now that one is heavy on her head, so she cannot carry it around. So she kept her capital for that, and now she collects the waste and sells every month and makes money. She was making over 600 Ghana cedis a month, just going around to collect and selling. Okay. So you see.
Have you been to funeral or one of these social occasions? And when they close,
yes,
You see
The
people.
people
we
fight.
leave behind, they are
So that's what
fighting
I'm
to
saying.
pick them.
If we don't want to go give a policy direction to that, then let's ban it. If we want to do, let's go full scale and provide all the mechanisms that will help upscale it and let it work. Because if we are collecting 65 million cedis since 2011, and the money up to accumulating,
Not even 4 years yet. And we have
even
that
if we had
much.
invested that 65 million, by that time we'll be heading towards
Just 3 million cedis into
can do
providing bigger recycling systems. Because you see, people
giving-
send these collectors sometimes go to the recycling companies and they have to wait for 2 or 3 days before they sell what they have, because their capacities are overstretched.
And we don't have the systems
We
to
don't have
process
the
them
system,
and work
you know,
on them.
so just give people soft loans. We are not even saying dash the money to them. Just give them soft loans so that they can expand and pay you the money over time, because already without that money, they are doing something.
Doing something.
You know.
I beg you, hold your horses. We'll take another break from here, and then when we come back, we'll talk more about how to manage the plastics we are generating. This is PM Express, and I still have Ben and Kranchi with me in the studio, and we're talking about plastics. We all use it. I'm sure you're even holding one right now as we talk about it, and you're wondering what you do with it when you've taken whatever you have in it. Where do you throw it? What do you do with it? What can you make out of that plastic bag or sachet water bag or anything, the bottle, any of them? But you know, about 3 years ago, I was doing a story about recycling plastic waste, and I went to one of these companies in the industrial area, North Industrial Area, and the manager then told us it's difficult for them to recycle, because I had heard that they recycle the sachet water bags for the plastic carrier bags, the black ones. And he was telling me that whenever they collect it and they bring it, the filth in it, how dirty it is and all that, because we don't segregate it, alone makes it difficult, because he has to buy more water, more chemicals, just to be able to get what he needed. And so the system wasn't in place. He was frustrated. So he told us point blank that he had stopped doing that. And I guess that is what most people are also going through right now. How do we ensure that people get this attitude right? Aside, oh, I have bought it, it's waste, I'm dumping it anyway. How do we ensure? Should we embark on national sanitation or education exercise to get people to get this message?
You see, national sanitation is also one of the ways that you can create
people are
awareness.
not even participating.
Yes, but it's also one of the ways you can create awareness. But like we said earlier on, if you have a segregation mechanism and people are conscious about segregating, because after you put in the segregation mechanism, you also need to educate the people about it. Then after that one, you also need to enforce the laws. And when people are getting benefits from putting aside their plastics, putting aside their benku, their fufu after they've eaten, you realize that they know that if I do this, I'll save some money for my family. They will definitely do that. So we just need to get the mechanism right, because like the recycler was saying, it will cost you 3 times to recycle a dirty one than to recycle a clean one. So we need to do the segregation.
Actually no motivation to do it, because from scratch we don't get it right.
Yes, we don't get it right. We actually don't get it right. So when we started recycling, this whole recycling thing, the machines that some companies brought in from the beginning couldn't work, because they went to Europe, bought a recycling machine, came to Ghana. But you know, European plastic waste is different from Ghana plastic waste, because yes, because the plastic waste from the gutter could be so dirty. So they went to Turkey and other places to get machines that could recycle the Ghana plastic waste. And we started, we started talking about it, and even the companies also. If you watch around now, the sachet water sellers, the ice water sellers, now most of them have some small bag around them. Because we went around in those days, told those people that, look, the waste that you throw away, if you put it together, I can buy you maybe 2 or 3 more bags of the water that you are selling. So why don't you use that one as a way of getting more capital? And people are doing it. So basically, if we have the segregation right, and we have the laws to back them, and we are doing very good education, it will work. We have done so many things. For example, now we are working with an NGO called Glenido, and they are doing Agenda 2015, 2015, 20 in the schools. where they encourage the schools to segregate their waste, and then they go there, we give them tricycles, they go to buy this waste and sell to the recycling companies.
Okay.
You see,
you hold it there for me. We've been joined by Magnus Nunu, who is the president of Sachet Water Producers Association. Magnus, good evening.
Yeah, good evening to
you. You are a key stakeholder in this discussion. How worried are you that we can't? How worried are you that we can't recycle because we can't segregate, because we don't have the systems, and there is just no policy in place to do this?
Yeah, I mean, it's not very clear what you're asking, because the line is very, very faint. But if I just pick up something, probably it's from what the president said concerning the possibility of banning plastics if the stakeholders do not come out with a solution as to how we can get the plastic off. I guess that is it?
Yes. Okay,
good. And of course, I mean, as producers, for that matter, I mean, it can be quite worrying because we put quite a lot of money in there. I mean, we have a lot of people who are actually into this, using the end product, package our product. And so that is it. But then, because of that, I mean, we have come a long way. We've done so much to help.
Tell me what you've done.
Sorry?
Tell me what you have done to lessen the burden. Aside the tax that you're paying, what have you done?
Well, I mean, if I guess the Crunchy is right there, the studio, and I mean, whatever this plastic waste management project that he actually manages, I mean, was born out of our initiative as producers, you know, and the whatever taxes that are today are in place and being charged at the port of entry, that is the environmental tax, I mean, was also born out of our own initiative, even though we are not able to get the money. I mean, we have gone our own way to providing bins. You know, I mean, about 6,000 bins, you know, we have done so, and we've done a lot at least. In fact, today, if you see people collecting this plastic waste and then sending them to recycling plants, I think it is all our initiative. You know, so we have been doing a lot, I mean, behind the scenes as, private partners to get the street.
Crunchy was saying earlier that you've done your bit. You're just waiting for a little push from the public sector. As private people, you've done so much. What is holding that dream from coming true? A little push so we can get somewhere with this talk about managing plastic waste.
Well, the push we want is this. I mean, mind you, we are only private partners, and of course, we're doing this because we use a final product. Unfortunately, we live in a country where people litter indiscriminately. I mean, so that is a big problem for us. But then, as producers, we are very much concerned. So we have gone the extra mile to see to it that this plastic menace actually is not to the lowest the lowest problem that it can pose to the environment. And then, but then also, I mean, there's a limit to what we can do. I mean, what we do, we have done whatever it is, money has been accumulated. We are not the policy makers.
Yes.
If you look at our lineup, whatever we decided to do, the roadmap to getting the streets cleaner, like this, devoid of plastic waste. Our final thing was that there's a need for the introduction of biodegradable material into the plastic that we use. And that one needs a policy from the government. We can't do anything. We can say, okay, let's contribute this, let's do that. But when it gets to the policy issues and enforcement, that is government's bit to do.
Okay.
And then that's where I have a challenge, you know. I have said that if the plastic manufacturers in this country are actually producing biodegradable plastics for the francophone countries, why can't you do the same? I mean, in the end, I mean, like, what is it? Granted, I mean, it's not possible, but then if we could package everything, including water and paper, I don't think we're going to have issues because we believe that when it goes back into the landfill sites, eventually they get degraded or something, you know.
Okay.
today technology has made it possible that even plastics, no matter how hard or the microns could be, you could add biodegradable to it, and within 30 days it will start degenerating. You know, and that is what we are failing to do. They are producing the biodegradable plastics and exporting the plastics out there to the Francophone countries.
All right.
I mean, we can deliver the points where of the enormous contribution that the plastic industry contributes to the economy in terms of employment.
I think Crunchy has been stressing on that. He's been going on and on and on about that. And so I'll leave you here. We are out of time, but we'll continue this conversation, I'm sure, another time. Thank you very much, Magnus, for joining us on PM Express. Let's wrap it up. So we won't ban it. President won't ban it. And then what's the alternative?
The focus is that we have already started doing something which is yielding results. So let us expand our recycling capacity. Let us provide more resources to the plastic waste collectors. Let us introduce the biodegradable additive into our production of plastics. Let us also set up the plastic waste recycling fund so that we can generate sustainable resources to do much more education, to do much more law enforcement, to do much more other initiatives like turning the plastic waste into oil, using the plastic waste as bitumen. Let us set up the fund so that these things can become
there are
real.
Alternatives.
I strongly believe that the plastic waste is a whole opportunity that is with us. And I believe strongly that the president can easily do it because he has started desalination of water,
so
the
he
seawater.
can do this one.
So this one is very easy for the president to do. And so we are ready to assist.
We actually are out of time. I want to give Ben 15 seconds to say something, then we wrap.
I think he said it all. The point is that if that is the direction that we want to go, let's bring in all the relevant things that will enable us get there.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. This is PM Express, and we've been talking about managing plastic waste in Ghana. Thank you for watching.